Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, family. How many of you all know that Candace Owens was known to be, a mouthpiece, an absolute betrayer of Black people on behalf of white supremacy? Now, family, she is burning the house down and they are big mad. One such individual is this Tim Pool. He is a well-known MAGA voice. He has dogged Black people over his career time. I want you to watch this very, 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 very brief excerpt. Watch this.
Owens is a evil scumbag. She is a degenerate. She is burning everything down. And she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you told me? She has no security. She doesn't deal with the shit we have to deal with. She's a piece of shit. She's making everyone else suffer. And all of these conservatives out there that send me these messages have no balls to call her out. More and more people have started doing it. They send me these messages. Good for you, Tim. Good for you, Tim. I wasn't the first person to do it. I'm not going to take credit for that. But don't DM me like I did something for you as you cower, scared that she'll put you on her thumbnail and claim you benefited from Charlie Kirk's assassination, which he's doing to me right now.
Yeah, that was the...
I'm done with these people.
She has security, just not on the level of you.
Oh, yeah, the one fat guy you mentioned with no wall and no barrier in a suburban neighborhood with neighbors. She doesn't give two shits. No one's out for her. She's lying about all of this. You told me you went to her house and she's got a 4-foot wall and one fat guy, and she doesn't give a shit about her security. Meanwhile, I get bullets fired at my property and I have to go live in the middle of nowhere. And I got strangers coming up to my house in Maryland, breaking in. I got people showing up and beating up the residents who try to live there. How the am I even supposed to sell this property? And it's all lies. It's all hypocrisy. And it is for the purpose of making money. And she does not live the way other people live. And she claims she liked Charlie. She loved Charlie. And she is burning everything down that he built because she is evil. She is evil. And I'll say it again. This conservative movement is fractured. It's fried, whatever it is. Okay. Republicans are on track to lose the midterms. They were actually trending in the other direction until Charlie Kirk was murdered.
Yeah.
And this is the point, isn't it? The most effective political assassination in history. And thanks to the likes of the vile Candace Owens, she has turned Turning Point into the perpetrators of the crime that was against them. I don't get paid by any of these people. I'm not on good terms necessarily with Turning Point USA. They didn't invite me to their stupid event. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. They invited me back after I started criticizing Candace. I'm not going to your event. I'm over all of this. The last thing that I need to deal with is a bunch of cowards in conservative media refusing to stand up to her. Megyn Kelly, come on. I appreciate the kind words, but come on. Such pathetic bullshit. And I get people saying, Tim, thank you so much for talking about it. I don't care. I'm not doing a favor for anybody. I'm not doing this to benefit anybody. Nobody's paying me. There's no Russia. There's no Israel. There's just me sticking my neck out and then risking dying for what? A bunch of cowards that don't want to stand up to protect themselves? People like Candace Owens.
I couldn't believe that she put you in the thumbnail of her piece today.
I'm done.
The idea that she'd imply that you had some benefit or that you benefit somehow.
She benefited. I think she's a Fed, and I think she killed Charlie. No one benefited more than her.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. Very interesting indeed. Tim Fool and Candace Owens apparently are in a little bit of a spat right now. But before we go any farther, there's something I gotta wonder. Tim Fool's saying that somebody took some shots at the place where he records his little podcast. And there's one question that I want to know. One question that's very important to me. The only question that matters. Was the shooter white? I mean, I gotta ask that because Tim Fool has also been one of the main people who likes to regurgitate the lying talking points that black people commit all the crime in America. Black people are 7% of the population, but 90% of the murders, etc., etc. That being the case, well, considering how much he referenced Charlie Kirk, I gotta wonder if maybe this is the same situation because when Charlie Kirk got murked, I didn't even have to wait until they actually caught the guy who did it. I didn't even have to wait for any sort of security video to come to light. I immediately went onto Twitter and posted that the killer was a white man, even though there was no suspect, even though nobody even had a description. I knew that. Why? Because of the demographics, because of the doggone actuarial tables, because I actually look at the crime stats. I'm not some white supremacist clown or some white supremacist wannabe clown in the case of Tim Fool, who runs around spouting gibberish. So that being the case, I really hope that Tim Fool actually speaks on who he thinks the shooter is, and he can go ahead and tell us whether or not the shooter is black or white, because he's the main one telling us that black people are the only ones who do stuff like this. Nobody else does, so that being the case, just like with Charlie Kirk, we need to go ahead and test whether or not he's right. He should be held accountable for all the stupid stuff that he says. Because one thing's for sure, if Tim Fool is right that Candace Owens has somehow gotten him on the wrong side of the MAGA, alt-right, etc., and considering that there is no suspect who's been caught in this alleged shooting at his property, then the question is, what's the profile of the individual who would have done it? I think it's the same profile as the individual who shot Donald Trump in the ear, the same profile as the individual who punched Richard Spencer in the face, the same profile as the individual who murked Charlie Kirk, the same profile as Charlie Kirk's killer and Donald Trump's shooter and all of these school shooters and mass shooters. Yeah, the same profile that people like Tim Fool tell us isn't the case. Now again, there is no suspect in custody, and the only person who's actually saying that there's an investigation going on is Tim Fool himself. But for the sake of argument, let's go ahead and say that this is actually on the level and is not just another right-wing fever dream. Who is it that Tim Fool is living in fear of? See, he didn't have to have fear like this when you had the Black Lives Matters rallies going on, when you had the uprisings of 2020. It wasn't Antifa that had him scared like this. It happens to be the white right, the MAGA right that he's a part of. They're the ones that he's scared of. They're the ones that he's worried about. So all of his BS talk about black stats and how we have to be able to speak the truth, yeah, we got to be able to speak the truth, but if you compound a mountain of lies, well, the truth just might decide to pay you a visit, just like it did Charlie Kirk. You know, these anti-black racists, they got the survival instincts of a dung beetle. Worse than that, actually, because a dung beetle doesn't stink as much as Tim Pool does. And you notice that he says the conservative movement is cooked. He's already declaring a time of death for the conservative movement. It's DOA as far as he's concerned. This is coming from one of the young punks, young guns of the white right saying this. This is supposed to be the future of the movement, and he's saying the movement has no future. The conservative movement is cooked. Yeah, I know Tim Fool is Eurasian, but the white right is who he identifies with. It's who he carries water for, so that's where he's slotted. Now, the fact that this guy is running around saying this, and he's one of those people who has millionaires paying his bills, but he's saying that the conservative movement is cooked, what that really means is his ability to try to be some sort of big wig inside the movement, or thinking to himself that he's going to be some sort of shot caller, that's clearly done. That's what he means by it's cooked. He means that his position within this bowel movement is cooked. That's what he really means. And it says a lot that that's what he's doing, and just how weak, just how flimsy and feeble is Tim Fool's position within the bowel movement. Well, he's been intimating that on December 19th, that could very well be his last podcast. That's what basically he's been hinting. December 19th, he could throw in the towel because the cost for security, you see. That's basically exceeding all of the things. Now, this is a guy who basically has been bragging that he's got bread, that he's got money, but now he's saying the exact opposite. Security costs have bled him dry. The cost of security, whatever the hell that is for him, that's apparently exceeded all other costs associated with his operation. So is this idiot really going to throw in the towel on December 19th? I wouldn't mind, but truth be told, I don't really follow this creep, so I don't know for sure, nor do I care, though I will say this. A lot of these race grifters like Tim Fool, they're allergic to work. Tim Fool has been exposed on multiple occasions for being allergic to reading, too. He's so lazy he doesn't even read the articles that he talks about, at least not in their entirety. Like most low-information people, he just looks at the headline and just moves on. He simply assumes that whatever's in the body of the article, well, it must reflect what the headline says. But on more than one occasion, he's made a fool of himself when he actually bothered to read some of those articles, and it turned out that what was in the article was actually completely different than what the headline said. And that's what the white media specializes in. They have headlines that say one thing, then you read the article and they just bury it at the bottom or midway in the article somewhere. They bury the fact that actually the reality was the opposite of whatever they claimed. For someone who claims to be so media savvy, he sure does fall for that trick a lot. Now, as the black media, we show you time and again how the white media does this, but for the low IQ, low information racists like Tim Fool, basic literacy isn't much of a priority, and it's too much effort for him to put out. So I'm sure that he wants to find a way out of podcasting. I think that's what this really is. I think he's been looking for a way out for a while now, because he didn't want to be in this space to begin with. Just look at what's been going on with the Daily Wire. They've been trying to make movies for years now, but these fools aren't entertaining. They're not even interesting. When all you know how to do is whine and complain about black people and make up phony white grievance, you're not going to appeal to anyone other than your fellow anti-black delusionals. That's something to remember about these racist podcasters, from Tim Fool to Ben Shapiro, to Stephen Crowder, to Michael Knowles. Most of these morons wanted to be in entertainment. In fact, all of them took a run at it and failed. That's the class and caliber of individuals that we're dealing with. Failed actors, failed comedians, failed talk show hosts, failed wannabe TV personalities, all of them failures. And it's not just their pathetic quote-unquote comedians who crashed and burned, it's all of them who have. That's why they attack TV shows and movies constantly.
Okay, family, did you hear that? Did you hear him go crazy and call her out of her name? But of course, you didn't hear everything because we bleeped that out. Now, I want you to see this. Here it is, Candace Owens did an entire documentary on the life of George Floyd, justifying them taking him out, exploiting this Black man's life and leaving you to feel that he deserved what he got. Candace spent her career dogging Black folks, calling us out of our name, and literally siding and promoting white supremacy. And now they've all turned on her. Now, some of us believe that the reason she's doing it is because she saw the writing on the wall before they basically pushed her out with the media company she was with, right? Also, you've got to understand that behind the scenes, some of them still talk, where some of them believe that they should move a certain way, still defending MAGA, still promoting MAGA, still blessing white life, depending on which side gets the most money. So some of that is going on too. But what I want you to understand is that she has not gone hard for Black life, in defense of Black life, like she's done for the folks over there in Palestine. And I certainly sympathize with them, but I find it very suspect that she has not gone nearly as hard for us as she did for them folks. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it, family, but so many of them are turning on each other. Tucker Carlson is in the middle of a lot of this stuff, which I believe is a front too, because on the one hand, he's calling out Netanyahu, but on the next, he's still defending Trump. And they have the same viewpoints. And of course, it's the United States that's supporting a lot of these things around the world. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it below. Be sure to comment, family. I've got so much going on with my private VIP academies that I've started, a 60-day course just for men, a 90-day course just for women. I also have a very affordable, low-cost monthly mastermind school. These are high-level spiritual courses. How many of you all know that in ancient times, they always had mystery schools, and the mystery schools were for the elite, knowledge to manifest in ways that the average person didn't. If you want to tap into glorious high-level VIP information, go to my website at vickiplanet.com. That's VICKI planet.com. I can't wait to see you again.